Alright, welcome back ladies and gentlemen to the CSO YouTube channel. This is the very first episode of the CSO Show, and we're just gonna have a casual talk here. And who better to talk to in the first episode than the two founders I got with myself, BloodRayne and Krytos. Welcome. How you doing?
Alrighty, and you, Mauzy?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you very much. Jackie, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good. Tired, but good.
Nice. Well, there's always some work with CSO, right? Even when you're not working IRL, you're just like you're working on CSO. That's how we do it. We're always producing content. All right. Well, I got myself a quick note here, a notepad open, so I can actually just follow some simple topics. Let's do a quick intro. Yes, of course. It's gonna be. I'm gonna quiz you on yourselves, and
oh boy,
if you don't pass, then you need to pass CSO. The stakes are high.
Hostile takeover.
Yeah, you didn't sign up for this, so you don't have to worry about things like that. So, okay, let's do with the most basic thing and something that I was curious. Where does your gamer tags come from?
Oh, okay. You want me to start? Okay, it looks like I've been volunteered. I don't know. I think my gamer tag just came along. I was looking for like a cool kind of name that I wanted to be my gamer tag, and I went through a couple of things, and I remember when I first started playing, well, gaming as such, I was watching my friends play on a PS4. No, sure, PS2 actually, I think, when the first God of War came out. So, and the character Krytos always kind of stuck out as one of those kick-ass kind of go anywhere, do anything, and I think I kind of just adopted it from there, really.
Jackie?
My turn.
Yeah. No worries, you'll get used to it. So
Gosh, that's a good one. I actually don't know. I know at that stage I was very into the whole BloodRayne movie, the BloodRayne series as well. I like a girl with knives, I suppose.
Sounds about right.
Plain and simple. Nice.
Plain and simple.
Okay. Then just for the viewers to know a bit more about you two, tell me a couple of words about yourselves. I don't know, like hobbies. We know the games, what games you two play, but if there's something that I don't know about, or there's like a hidden favorite or something among the library of games, then you can share that as well, or I don't know, basically anything, whatever you want to share.
I mean, I think I got into gaming a bit later on in life. I mean, I started playing computer games when I was very young, back in the day, since everyone knows that we're the dinosaurs of the team. And then I think I took a large break from gaming. I focused on my work life, and kind of left gaming behind. But I've always kind of collected comics. I was a huge comic collector. Played Magic the Gathering for many years as well. Tabletop, not the computer version, it was before then. Kind of try to compete competitively in Magic the Gathering. Kind of landed up in, I think, top 50 South Africa Magic the Gathering at one stage at my prime. And then after that, I kind of took a bit of a break again, and just kind of life, kids and getting married, divorced, etc. So gaming wasn't really big. And then from there, I kind of came back into gaming, I think probably 2017, 2018, I think I started gaming again. Got myself an Xbox because it's like, well, I didn't really have the money to go and build a decent PC. So I started off with console gaming. So playing Halo, Master Chief. So I suppose if you're looking for those little secret games, I think I've always been a huge Halo fan, and Gears of War as well. But yeah, other than that, from a hobby point of view, I mean, I've played cricket at school, golf. So I think, the normal things.
Wow. Didn't even know you were into golf or cricket. These, you could call them traditional. They make
Traditional
part of traditional sports. But those are even probably, at least from where I come from, or maybe for my generation, cricket and golf is not that common. So I'm glad that I know someone who plays these or played them.
No, I also played football. I did play football as well when I was very young. When I was in primary school, I also played football. So
yeah. Jackie?
Okay, my turn again. I'm sorry, you've got to give me the cues. Like, your turn now. Well, what can I say? Well, growing up, wasn't actually a gamer. Focused on my schoolwork. Played netball. I did some athletics, and then I started playing Resident Evil on PlayStations. I think the very first ones that came out, PlayStation 1. Played Resident Evil, got myself a laptop, played Duty, loved Duty, and yeah, then I also stopped playing for a long time, and then I met this monkey, and he got me back into playing, actually, StarCraft, to be quite honest, and Diablo, and after that, we also took a break for a while, both of us, and yeah, 2018, we actually ran across a BlizzCon, and from there we just started playing again.
It's all Cyril's fault.
Yeah, it's all his fault.
So wait, you guys watched BlizzCon live?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was live. It
was live, but not in person. No, I meant in person.
No, not in person. No. I think up until that stage, I was actually quite surprised that there was competitive StarCraft, because the only thing I knew of StarCraft, I mean, I did play StarCraft 1, Brood War, and then StarCraft 2, but I always played campaign. I did not actually know there was a competitive ladder version of it, to be very honest. And then I think I was just kind of cruising around on Twitch, and it's like, BlizzCon, StarCraft, let me go check this out. And yeah, I think that's been the bug bit.
Yeah. Well, actually, now that you mention it, you played the campaign. How come Jackie did not play the campaign? As far as I know, she did not play the campaign. All of them.
I played on his name.
Oh. Okay.
And when StarCraft 2 came out, he actually bought me the whole. I've got all the races, including the Nova Spec Ops one. So just haven't finished it. I play it every now and again.
No, that's.
I think after watching the BlizzCon thing, it's like, oh, we're gonna ladder. We want to be pros. You know. I think everyone has that aspiration. Let's go see how we can do on the ladder and see where we can get to.
Yeah, everyone tries to aspire. Everyone tries. That's also true. I mean, there's a lot of players. We'll get to that in a moment as well. But first, if we're already into the gaming part, tell me a bit about your perspective, because we know gaming as a whole industry is like huge these days. No matter where you go in the world, I think everybody at least heard of gaming, even if they don't even believe it. I know 10 years ago, no one believed in it, that people can actually make money off of it, or big money at least. There was like, even before that, there was like in arcades and everything like that. But how do you think, how do you two think gaming evolved, and did it evolve for the better or for the worse? What do you think were the key factors in your opinion, or how do you see it in terms of evolution?
Well, I mean, I think, gaming from an evolution point of view, I think has come a huge ways. I think if you look back to the where gaming started out with our 8-bits, it was for entertainment. It was for children, something to keep them busy while the adults did their things. I think there were probably a couple of games that came along who wanted to change that mold and take it from being arcade and bring the competitive side into it. I mean, I suppose UT, even though there wasn't like officially a competitive version of it, but I mean, the FPS scene, I think, really grew the industry to where it is today, bringing in competitive play. If you look at games like Quake and Doom, became highly competitive. There was, in my experience, when I was playing there was clans getting together and basically playing off against each other to see who was the best. And I think that's probably where it evolved from. And yeah, I think gaming is kind of now become like a dual field, whereas you will always have those games for entertainment that's purely for entertainment value, and then there's the other side of gaming. If you look at your CSGO, you look at your Valorant, you look at your StarCraft, your League of Legends, which is primarily focusing on a competitive side while having fun. I think so, bringing different cultures and different players together to compete from across the world. That's my viewpoint anyway.
Okay. Jackie, what do you think? How do you see it?
No, it's fine. Let him talk.
So Matt said everything that's had to be said.
It's also just one thing that, I mean, when I started playing, okay, yes, I grew up a little bit sheltered. But when I started playing, you only had your certain... What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, your certain kind of games. But now, if you look around, there's so many games and there's so many... I don't know, it did evolve.
Yeah, no, the genres, I think, it's gone... you've got RTS, you've got MOBA, you've got FPS, you've got adventure, you've got building games. I think the variety of games is hugely, it's out there. I think, left to human imagination, I guess.
I mean, I just look at my library all the time and I'm like, I was dreaming about this PC for 20 years, pretty much. And I got it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play this and this and this game. And I spend money on games and I buy everything. And then I'm like, but I got a job. I got chores to do. I got the social life. And there's just too many things to play. And I always, I'm like, oh, I'll just play this game and that game and that game. And I end up on whatever competitive game is. Yeah. But I definitely agree that the first-person shooter genre, especially in my opinion, because I've been digging up a whole lot of documentaries regarding this, and I think the esports thing is thanks to the people at like id Software, for example, with Quake and actually even Doom before that. So
yeah.
Yeah, those with the multiplayer, like 1-on-1s and 2-on-2s or 4 players, deathmatching. That was like the beginning. But I think
back in the day.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, back in the day when you used to take your PC to your buddy's house and physically LAN together because it was the only way to play multiplayer. The internet capability wasn't really there at the time.
Jackie, have you experienced this type of LAN environment?
Yes. But also, you pack up your PC and you've got the monitor under the one arm and the computer box under the other one, and off you go, kind of thing. But I think I was in matric, just after matric, which is also a very long time ago, so don't quote me on that one. But like Matt said, you pack up your PC, you go to a friend's house, you've got this little hub and all these cables, and then you just play, and that's the only thing that you actually had for multiplayer games.
Yeah. Okay, and I think we're gonna jump into the cream of today's topics. Well, let's just say it out. Well, we're here. The reason why we call this show the CSO Show. We want to find out something more about the brand, about the team, about the games we play as an org, as a team, as a community. So yeah, first of all, CSO, Chaos Spec Ops. Where did the idea for the name came from?
Okay, yeah. This is one of those ones, yeah. Put it this way. When CSO as an idea kind of popped into my head. Okay, let's say my head. I was like, we're doing the StarCraft thing. We're in a couple of servers now, on Discord, because I figured out what Discord is and what it does. It's like, well, maybe I should start my own team. Then I was like, well, if you're going to have a team, you need to have a cool name to go with the team, right? So I kind of brainstormed a couple of. I could never get anything that was cool, nothing that sounded like in my head kind of stuck out. So I'm like, okay, cool. Google is your friend. I kind of Googled that, and I came across a random clan name generator website. So I kind of hit the random button a couple of times. It's like, no, jumping frog or Smurfy seahorse, and it's like, no. And eventually Chaos Spec Ops kind of popped in. I'm like,
Smurfy seahorse.
you know what random generators are like. They kind of come up with the dumbest names ever.
But you should have. I mean, I was sitting on the couch at that stage, and I literally, like now, I almost fell off the couch laughing at all these names that just popped up onto this random generator. It was so funny.
No, it was.
It is.
And I was like, so eventually it landed up on Chaos Spec Ops, and I was like, that sounds pretty badass. That's cool, but I mean, it's a bit long for a name, especially when you're playing StarCraft time. You can only get 3 letters in as a clan tag. So I'm like, okay, cool. So how do we? Okay, Chaos Spec Ops it is. That's a cool name, but we need to abbreviate it, and then obviously you take the letter from the beginning of each one, CSO, and yeah, that's pretty much where it came from.
Okay, and Jackie. Talk to me about the logo and the colors that came with it.
No, that's also all Krytos. I know. I don't know where the colors or the logo came from. It's he just came to me one day and was like, "What do you think about this for a logo?" And we had actually a graphic designer, and Matt sat for about a month, 2 months to get the logo and the shirt design and everything perfectly. The colors as well. I don't know. I've got no idea about the colors. But
well, I mean, I can share a little bit of the logo, where the logo came from. BloodRayne over there, Jackie, our beloved co-founder, has always had a thing for dragons. He's got a huge love of dragons.
Okay, so now we know where the dragon came from. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I've come up with a name. I need to, you've got to have some say in it. Otherwise, it's like, it's all your idea, and you do. You know how it goes with couples. So the logo came from her of dragons. I just found a picture that I liked. Also, again, randomly searching, and then I went, like Jack said, I found a graphic designer.
Your headphone's dying. Your headphone's dying.
Oops. Okay. So I found a graphic designer, and then I said, well, this is the picture that I like. Come up with a logo for me. And he went through a couple of sketches, and I was like, no. Kind of getting where, no. Like Jack said, over a period of time, we got to what is the current logo. Yeah.
Okay, and since we're talking about you came to a point where the logo was good, when did this whole process start? when did you know that you really want like a team? You want to create a clan name, or basically when did this whole idea come from?
It's like, well, we were playing together. We were playing ladder, StarCraft. You know, it was like, I think it was pretty lonely, and you know, we wanted some like-minded people so we could, you know, play against other players. You know, get some, you know, ways to improve and whatever else. And I think that's pretty much where the team concept came from. The original idea was, you know, being South African, I didn't really see any South African, I didn't know of any South African orgs or people who were doing anything for StarCraft specifically. I knew there was, you know, a couple of people with CSGO and, you know, those kind of games, which when we first started the team, I wasn't really interested in. It was, you know, I was playing a lot of StarCraft then. So I was like, well, there's no South Africans, so let's form a team and see if we can find some South Africans and all band together and, you know, kind of teach each other, be competitive, see what we can do.
Okay, headphones charged, all good to go.
A little bit.
Little bit.
For the longest time, it was just myself and Matt with the CSO tag. I mean, we weren't really at that stage really interested in expanding. We had people that we were playing with. Well, obviously there was two people that joined us very early on, after some begging.
Wait, did they beg you or you begged them?
No, well, you know, it was actually not begging in that
roughly.
manner. Roughly, we asked them if they would be interested in just joining us, which they did. They unfortunately both have now retired completely from the game, so they are not in the clan anymore. And after that, we actually came across some South African players, Metal Leaguers, that we started playing with, and in December of 2019, October, November 2019,
somewhere around there,
that's when we signed our first player, which is Yang Jakob.
Oh
yeah.
Okay, and now that we actually started talking about the games, I mentioned that, yes, games with an S, with an S because well, at this point, whoever knows CSO, they know that CSO is now we can call it a multi-gaming organization. Though it's only 2 games, we don't really call it a duel. We call it multi-gaming, and hopefully it's gonna expand. But the beginnings were StarCraft. There's a Valorant team as well. We're gonna get to that in the next topic. But let's talk about the StarCraft team first. Well, first of all, let's share a couple of things about you guys and StarCraft. Now we know how you got into it. We know that Matt was into it and you joined him. But let's just have a couple of, I don't know, questions. First of all, why do you play the race you play? Well, first of all, which race? Because I'm not going to reveal it. I'll actually let you guys reveal the races.
I blame Cyril. Sorry.
Yeah, pretty much. We've got to blame Cyril for that. But I mean, I must admit, even when I was playing campaign, I've always liked Zerg because I'm a huge Aliens fan, and you know, to me, Terran was always the Marines, and the Zerg was always the aliens. So I was like, yeah, let's play the baddies.
Yeah, no, I've tried playing Protoss. I tried playing Terran. The mechanics just doesn't make sense in my head. Maybe I'm just too old to learn it. Who knows? But this whole putting every production unit on a different flippin' hotkey just doesn't make sense to me. I have my hatches and off you go.
Exactly.
I also think the speed and intensity of Zerg also really appealed to me. You know, before I settled on Zerg as well, I think I played a bit of Protoss, a bit of Terran, and besides the mechanic, which I also must admit, I think Jackson and I are very similar in our mindsets and the way we work. I was also not a great fan of the mechanics. So the Zerg mechanic did, and also the speed at which Zerg basically builds and reacts to other races on the field. I think also just appealed to me quite a bit. Yeah.
Jokingly, you only like Protoss when you can cannon rush badly.
For those who don't know what we're actually talking about, if there's some new faces on the channel, I'll have somewhere over there, somewhere up there, anywhere, there's gonna be a card for the Welcome to StarCraft playlist, just so you understand a bit more if you become a fan of CSO. But when did you actually start playing StarCraft? That's the next question, actually, because we know there's 3 expansions. It got out and came out in 2010. Actually, the beta I think was out in 2009, and there were 3 expansions across these 12 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, I started with StarCraft 1. Right, I think just after it came out. So I think up until a couple of years ago, I still had the CD, both CDs, that and Brood War. I think the cinematics, I think we got to give Blizzard a good thumbs up. I mean, when StarCraft 1 first came out, you know, the graphics was not what it is now, and just that opening scene for StarCraft was like, oh wow. And yeah, so obviously after I finished the first one, the natural progression was, okay, cool, we've got to play the expansion to see what happened to Kerrigan. And yeah, then when obviously many years later, when StarCraft 2 came out, it was like, okay, well, it was just like a no-brainer to play the next one, right?
That's usually how it is.
Which was about 2014. Morgan was very young then, when I started playing StarCraft again because of this monkey.
Yeah, she was still playing a lot of Diablo at the time.
Playing again. Yeah. When did you first play? Did you play Brood War? Or
no. I played StarCraft 1, which was probably Brood War. I don't know. It wasn't Chamante. My eldest was about 6.
Was it the one with the green cover? Ago? Was it the one with the green cover, or?
It wasn't my game. It was my boyfriend's.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so 2014.
Yeah, about then.
Well, yeah. If
my batteries are gonna hold now.
And what was your experience? Let's talk StarCraft 2 specifically. Matt knows. Okay, Matt had the background of StarCraft 1 for a longer time, I guess. But I get, well, 2014 was Heart of the Swarm. So did that impact the choice of race, Jackie?
No, because I was trying to play Terran at that stage,
oh.
Apparently, if I can remember correctly, and I did miserably, so no.
I must admit, I mean, I had Wings of Liberty, and I actually didn't complete the campaign till later. I think Heart of the Swarm, right, Kerrigan's now evolved, and I finished Heart of the Swarm first, then I went back and played Wings of Liberty.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, if there's anything to add, sure.
No, carry on.
Okay, now we know. Well, actually, this is going to be. I have a question here, but we already answered that. Well, I would have asked about the favorite player, but I guess it's the same player for both of you. So we're talking about 2018 BlizzCon champion and the GOAT itself, Mr. Yuna Sotala, aka Zero.
Yeah, you know, actually for me, that was. He's still, look, don't get me wrong, he's still a very good player, but at this stage, you know what, I think my CSO players are my goats.
Oh, sucker.
But they are.
No,
Okay.
I must admit.
Let me ask you a question then here, a side question. Unbiased opinion, based on stats, play style, anything that is not subjective, like objectively, who would be your favorite? I'll ask one name. It may be a runner-up, just to make it interesting.
What are you talking within the team?
Within CSO, yes. Sorry.
Within CSO.
I can't.
Yeah, no. It's very difficult.
If I have to go with the people that's been with us the longest, it would definitely be Jakob and then Trifect. But it's very difficult. I mean, all my players they're my players. They're my boys.
And I think
that's
each of
why
them
I
have
said
got
objective.
their own, that's why I think each of them have got very unique play styles, and I think that's what makes us actually a good team. And I think it's done us very well in competitive play, is because we've got Trifax, who's a very macro orientated player. We've got Yakov, who's a pretty aggressive player, I would say, but he can also do the macro. And then we've got Milky, who is pretty much go for the jugular first, and if he really has to back off, he will. So I think all of them have got radically different play styles. So that's why it's very hard to say, well, it would be this player.
Yeah. Actually, I think in terms of entertainment, if my opinion matters here, I would actually go for Milky Cow. He makes for extremely entertaining games with all those aggressive builds, like making every production building in front of the main of the opponent, of course.
Or procs in the pocket base, yeah.
But as like learning from stuff and just execution wise, I would go with Big T, honestly, just because I love macro games.
No, likewise, also a very macro orientated player myself.
And since I don't know, have you followed StarCraft's esports scene, both StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2s? Because the next question would be the favorite player of all time, not just current players.
I never followed StarCraft 1, so I won't know.
I must admit, I came in a bit later, so I can't really say. So it would probably still be Cyril. I think for the person, the person who probably did the greatest for the StarCraft scene in its current format, I guess would have to be In Control. I think he made a huge impact as well. I watched a couple of documentaries about his earlier career, but so I think he had a huge impact on the scene as it is.
Yep. R.I.P. In Control. Rest in peace.
Yeah, that's it.
Sadly.
Yeah, sadly. Great man.
Yeah, that tournament they held in his name was, I mean,
yeah,
we played it. It was just the amount of people that was actually there. It's yeah, it's something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
It's interesting. I actually started watching competitive StarCraft a couple months before he passed away. So I saw a lot of him, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited about this dude. And it suddenly just came to my knowledge was no more. But I agree. He did a lot of good. And whoever's playing StarCraft, by the way, get the announcer. It's free, along with the portrait. So yeah. Okay, talk to me about. We know there's a lot of great esports moments, and there's moments that actually define
Got a bit of
eras.
a hiccup on your side, huh?
Sorry, is it good now?
Okay, well, there it's better. Okay, just repeat
Yeah,
that,
sorry.
please.
Sorry,
Okay,
just
hopefully.
repeat that. Yeah, you're gonna have to edit that part out. You broke up a bit.
No worries, no worries. The technical difficulties are part of the show, so I don't think there's any shows where technical difficulties are not part of it. So some people can hide it better, some people can't. There's things you can and things you can't hide. But back to that topic. So we know there's a lot of like sometimes era-defining esports moments. If I just think about generally like a player in any esports, they can define eras. There's moments that just stick with us for eternity. What would you describe a moment to be like? This kind of moment to be like? What would make a big impact for you, Jackie? Let's start with you.
You're putting me in the spot
Yeah.
first. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to switch it up a bit. What would you appreciate in a moment? Just like as a reflex, emotionally, what would it can be anything. I don't know, breaking a record or just smashing a player, defeating a big enemy rival. Sorry, we don't have enemies in esports.
Wow.
And it can be your personal as well, by the way. It can be your personal.
Not. It's very difficult. You're putting me half on the spot now because I'm not one to single out one thing that I would like or one thing that needs to happen. For me, there's a lot of small things that might make a whole, if I can put it that way. So it's not just one. So I can't really say. I'm stupid like that.
Well, if there's any moment, like, do you have a favorite moment? Let's not talk about what would be the optimal one. Do you have a favorite one?
Well, I can remember the first time I took a map off a plat player and I was only bronze.
Nice, nice. That's it. That's a big achievement. You gotta appreciate it.
Yeah, and if my internet didn't die at that stage, I probably would have won the best of 3
Oh,
with help from one specific panda who was my life coach at that stage. But yeah, no, that's one thing that I can remember.
that's always an achievement. Like beating someone who's higher than you is always a great achievement. Matt, do you have some kind of favorite moment?
Well, I mean, I think my favorite moment, you know, if I look from watching esports, would definitely be watching Cyril lift that BlizzCon trophy in 2018. That was epic. It just kind of gave me shivers. Also, I think personally, which would be probably the most exciting thing, would be to see one of the CSO players doing exactly the same thing. I think that would probably be the most epic moment of all time. I think our boys are doing well. They must just keep at it. You know, personally, when I get my ace, I'm looking forward to my first ace in Valorant. I think when I get there, then I'll probably run around screaming like a lunatic.
Yeah, about that. Before we move on to Valorant, though,
Yeah,
I still remembered we have one topic. What are the goals for CSO's SC2 division? Be it from a founder's perspective or from player perspective. We know players set their own goals, but if you personally know something about that and you can share it, then feel free. But from a managerial standpoint, for example.
From a managerial standpoint, is I think I personally would like to see us improve on our performance from this year. I think we did well in BTL. and the other team leagues that we took in. So if we can do better, if we can get to semis or finals in each team league for next year, I think that would be a great goal. I think very easily achievable. We've got some new blood in the team. I think once they get in and settle with the old guard, if you want to put it that way, Yakov and Trifax, and Milky's also been around for a while. He's been here for a while. He's come and gone and come back. So hopefully he'll be around for many years as well. So from a team point of view, I'd like to see us beat our goals, well, our places from last year. And I would also, that's from a team point of view. And I think from a player's point of view, BloodRayne and I are very passionate about every member of our team. So whatever personal goals the individual players can do for themselves, if they can reach those and we can be there to help and support them, that would pretty much make us extremely happy.
Jackie, as your boys, it's your boys.
My boys, it's my boys.
I mean, I think, you know, we started CSO as community orientated, and we've tried to make sure that it stays that way. You've had a couple of words with us. You understand that, you know, CSO is not just about names and numbers and making dollars. It's about the people, because the people make the team. And we're happiest when everyone else in the team is happy and they're excited that they've reached something or they've achieved something. So
quick side question, not related, but can we get some light on Jackie?
I'm gonna turn that light up.
Any light enjoyers?
I can probably.
That's fine. I'll turn the lights to white. Sorry, that's our funky. Yeah, that's our funky CSO colors. So. No. Okay, I'm gonna have to change the color, hey?
That's fun. There we go.
Okay.
And then
Nice.
turn down the brightness a bit.
No, that's so cool.
Yeah, Google Home. Google Home is your friend. Do everything on your phone.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay.
Now everybody can see my ugly face.
Well, not too long ago.
Yeah, it's not a good.
Not too long ago, you kind of found out that there's a certain Riot Games title, not League of Legends, that you really, really enjoy. I remember when you first started, you were like, oh, damn, this is so much more enjoyable than just getting destroyed by whoever on ladder in StarCraft. And I think the hype is still continuing. Or of course, we're talking about Valorant, Riot's colorful CS:GO-oriented type of shooter, which is a enjoyable title in my opinion. It's a bit more appealing for the casuals, so I think it's a really good. There's a really good contrast between competitive and casual games, but it appeals to both sides in my opinion, with high skill cap and low skill floor, basically. High skill ceiling, low skill floor. The entry level is basically helped, in my opinion, with the type of utility that is presented in forms of abilities. For those who don't know, each agent, they call them agents, are unique. Well, we call them unique. There's certain you cannot really make any. Basically, you cannot really make 100% unique characters, because there's going to be some kind of similarities in their kits. But we call them unique characters. So, Valorant. How did we get here?
Wow.
How did... Actually, I actually don't know if I asked you before, outside of this podcast. How did you get into Valorant?
You were playing Bloodhunt at that stage. And
True.
Valorant does have a following or a community in South Africa, and because of, okay, let me put it this way. So we were on Twitter the one day, and we saw everything about this whole Valorant South Africa thing, and it was just blowing up. So we joined the Discord server, and us being tournament organizers, we thought, okay, let's go to them and tell them we can help you organize tournaments to get this scene back on track. And yeah, they were not interested in anybody else coming in because we did not have a Valorant team in that stage. And so we stepped back, and then we actually started playing Valorant. And I think Krytos one day went into the Valorant South Africa server and went, okay, guys, I'm looking for a team. Not to play in, but we're looking for a team. And yeah, he can tell you what happened from there.
Yeah,
I mean, I was aware. I mean, I was aware of Valorant before. I kind of kept an eye on it, you know, from beta start. I mean, coming from, I mean, originally, I guess I was an FPS player. I was just kind of forgot about it, you know, after playing UT and all of those back in the day. I kind of, after playing RTS, I kind of backed away from FPS because I thought, you know, the difference between the two games is different mechanics, and, you know, I wouldn't say I'm a natural gamer, if you want to put it that way. So most of my play style is learned. So I knew about Valorant. I kept an eye on it. See, there was a potential for growth for CSO in maybe 1 or 2 titles. And Valorant just happened to be one of them, because Valorant's popularity and especially its competitive side, I think, was very appealing. Since now we've got a professional StarCraft team, so why are we going to go back and go backwards? We want to go forward. So let's find a competitive Valorant team. And like Jack said, we saw there were some issues in the South African Valorant scene, and we wanted to offer our knowledge and our expertise in for many years running, I think, very successful tournaments within the StarCraft 2 community. So we just thought we could lend a hand there. And then, yeah, so it was like, okay, cool, like Jackie said, well, you're not going to look at me if I don't have a team, then I'll find a team. I'll make a team. And that's where, I guess, Outcast comes into the picture.
Yeah, also stay tuned. Mr. Outcast is going to appear on the show as a spoiler, small spoiler. So just to tease people to stay.
No, of course.
Stay and rejoin for future episodes. But yeah,
let's tell him to stay in line with the questions, because he talks a lot.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so that's how you got into, and let me just tell me. Okay, let's spice it up a bit. Let's talk likes and dislikes regarding the game. Scene wise, give me 1 like and 1 dislike for the Valorant game as a whole, the scene, and as a viewer, as an esport.
I think,
1 pro, 1 con.
I think Valorant from an esports point of view is a great game to watch. It really, it's in your face, it's loud, it's aggressive, it's got action. It's like an action movie. I think that's a very big positive from the esports scene point of view. I think probably the negative side from an esports is probably the round length. I think, you know, best of 3 games can take an awful long time. So whereas a StarCraft game will take you 30 odd minutes, you're looking at an hour for a good pro match, and you're doing a bracket, a large bracket. I mean, it can get a bit long-winded. I think that would be the only negative. I think, you know, bringing swift play into a tournament format could be quite exciting, because it would be a lot shorter and a lot more action orientated. So that's from an esport.
Best of 7 please.
I think from a community point of view, it's a completely different community. If you look at StarCraft, for instance, StarCraft is very... I'd like to say that the StarCraft community is like a bunch of Care Bears. We all love each other. We all know each other. Everyone's very supportive. Valorant, being the game that it is the community is very aggressive. You will find the people that you gel with, and you will get the people who are extremely toxic to a point. It's true. You generally will. You have great fun with the people in your 5 stack, but the people on the other end of that 5 stack are giving you grief the entire time. So it's completely different to StarCraft from that point of view. StarCraft, even if you're doing cuck or playing badly, your opponent will go, "Don't worry," and give you a couple of pointers and tips after a game. Valorant, they're like, "Yeah, report." I'm sure you've experienced it. And then I think the game itself, I like the characters. I think the mix of abilities and that is pretty cool. I dig the art style in Valorant. It's not too lifelike. It's got a bit of, I suppose, anime cartoony art to it, which I find quite appealing.
No, you just like the girls in tight outfits.
That's true. I can't lie. But there's not enough of those in Valorant because we have to be PC.
What do you mean? He runs behind me and looks at my ass the whole time when I'm playing Reyna, so what?
Some inside info on our Valorant games. I was expecting it. Okay, what do you dislike?
I think from a game point of view, I think as it currently stands, I think we need more maps and a bit more map rotation. I think playing the same, when you're grinding a good 4 or 5 hours with the Valorant, playing the same map over and over and over again can become a bit tedious. That's probably the one thing I dislike about Valorant.
Jackie?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I cannot say as much Matt does. For the main simple reason is that he's in charge of the Valorant side and I'm in charge of the StarCraft side. So, yes, I might not play StarCraft as much as all of you guys. I mean, I constantly see all my players online. I generally go and I check who's playing, how they're doing. Yes, I do play Valorant as well, but that's literally just to relax after the day at work. Well, after a week at work, put it that way. For me, I can only talk about StarCraft. Mainly, tongue-tied. I hate playing ladder because of all the BM builds that you get. I mean, there's always somebody that, I don't know, just rubs me the wrong way. That's probably why I don't play anymore.
BC rushes.
I can never get my hydras out quick enough. Anyway.
They're not tier 1 anymore.
Yeah, but it's like I said, for me to say anything about the Valorant, yes, they need more maps. They're a lot toxic. The toxicity in Valorant for me is a lot worse than in StarCraft, even though you get a lot of BM on ladder sometimes. I mean, I've seen some of our guys going off at the BM that they get, but at the end of the day, it's not as bad as Valorant. And like Krytos said, the StarCraft community is a lot closer, if I could put it that way, than the Valorant guys. My opinion. I'll keep it to myself next time.
No, that was fine. That was fine. Like you both said, like you have the same mentality, so I'm really happy to hear that you're on the same page.
I talk a lot, she doesn't.
But that's why he calls me the enforcer. I only step in when something needs to be sorted out.
Oh, and trust me, guys, when she steps in, fireworks go off. and you gotta position yourselves to be on the right side, not the wrong one. No, I mean,
reputation does precede me, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I stand up for my boys, and I will not take anybody's shit. I'm sorry.
that's fair enough, honestly. Like, that's totally fair. But let me ask you one thing about the Valorant, Krytos. Just because you went in and you said like, here I am, give me a team. Why Valorant? I know it was blowing up, but were there any other either game genres or specific games in game genres, in any game genre that you were looking at to expand?
I mean, there was a few. I mean, if you know, I think Valorant is still in its infancy. I mean, competitively, it's only been around for about 2 years, really. So I think there's still a lot of growth potential within Valorant. I mean, I did look at Halo from a potential title, but also not really that big or that. I suppose it didn't really appeal to me. I looked at Fortnite is definitely a consideration. I mean, there is still a huge Fortnite following. There's a lot of good Fortnite players in South Africa and internationally. And I think also from a Fortnite point of view, it also appeals to the younger players, if you want. CSO has always been about bringing in and fostering young talent. Trying to show that you can actually make a career in esports. It is possible. It takes a lot of time and effort, which I think a lot of parents don't understand, but it is a viable career path in the modern age. It's still going to be the 1 or 2% that ever make it, but that's like that in any sport, to be quite honest. I looked at League of Legends is also something that we may delve into in the future. I think also an immensely popular game, which is also team orientated. So yeah, that's kind of where the general feeling is at the moment.
Jackie, will we get a CSO Stormgate team once it comes out?
I'll sleep on it.
I think it all comes down to is the game going to be all that, and what is the level of competitive within it. I mean, we have looked at Immortal, that's a player as well, but it's not there yet. It's still going to take some time, so we do keep an eye on potential titles. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we want to expand the team, expand the brand, and get our name out there, if you know what I'm saying. When people start putting you, I mean, I think our first goal was getting mentioned in the same sort of spheres as Alpha X in StarCraft, and we're there. I mean, and Psystorm. So I mean, we're a known team. So I think Valorant has a huge potential for brand recognition because of its viewership. So it's also not only the titles, the players, and it's also about growing the brand at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, I guess then I should also ask, like, we're talking about like being mentioned in certain sphere. What do you think? How do you think CSO fares up against other South African esports team? First of all, I suppose there's South African teams, because I know in Valorant there's, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, there should be at least like a couple of tournaments. I know there was the Red Bull Clutch Campus, there was the Metal State one,
yeah,
and also actually we're gonna split this in two. Matt, I'll ask you to talk about the Valorant scene in South Africa, basically the state of the scene, about how tournaments are organized. What do you think about the tournaments organized? And which tournaments do you think CSO needs to enter? What would satisfy you? Realistically, we know first place is the goal for each team. And Jackie, I'll ask you to think about the same in terms of StarCraft. The same. What do you think about the scene in the SA scene? And actually, I don't know if there's any, besides the CSO ones, if there's any StarCraft specific. StarCraft is global, I guess. But I also would like to ask about the tournaments. What do you think would be the best to participate in for the players? And what do you think would be the satisfactional placement?
Well, I mean, if from a South African Valorant team point of view, there are a good number of teams, a lot of smaller teams. I mean, I think essentially the top of the Valorant South African scene is essentially 10 teams. We've been very fortunate with our team. I think we definitely, if you look at our overall stats, we should be number 2 in South Africa team-wise. So that's a great achievement for less than a year in Valorant. So just basically need to keep that momentum going. I'm happy to be, as long as I'm in that top 5, top 10, and that's where we need to be. I mean, you're always going to have good days, bad days, as teams, where you can perform or you don't perform. But as long as you're staying at that top tier level, I think from a basically, tournaments are organized very differently in Valorant in South Africa, where there's basically 2 event organizers, being Metal State and ACGL, who run the tournaments themselves. So you basically, they will host and you will bring a team in. With varying prize pools, I suppose they've got a bit more pool with sponsors and whatever else in order to get prize money into it. I would like to get CSO to a similar point as we are in StarCraft, where we will be running our own tournaments. It kind of gets people to know us as a brand, and also I think we're pretty good as an organization at running tournaments. I think we've been extremely successful to date, and I think it would just be a natural progression to do it into Valorant as well.
Okay, before we continue, just so you have time to prepare, just think about a fun CSO moment as for kind of the closing.
Okay.
Okay, Jackie, StarCraft. StarCraft.
Yeah, it's a game. You played on your PC.
No, I mean, what do you think about the players' performance, tournaments being organized? Are you satisfied with the tournaments that we as an org organize? Also, please present them as well, just so the players and possible interested people would know.
No, how come you ask me if I'm happy with my own tournaments?
Well, okay, of course you are, but you know, participation wise, how they actually get to unfold, there could be hiccups and all that. So you can also share if there's something that you don't like from a standpoint of the players, like a player standpoint.
Wow.
Oh.
No. The only thing that we generally have to take into consideration, that we sometimes do forget, is that tournaments don't get the draw that you would hope for, the entrance, especially when there's big tournaments like the ESL Pro scene going on, or DreamHack. It is a bit different then, so you cannot expect a field of 25 every time. And also especially the time of the year, especially now for one, we didn't run a CSO contender for the last 2, well, before we ended now in December, because of the low amount of signups. Does happen, and we are aware of that. But hopefully with the new patch, and when we come back next year with all the new ideas that we have, that we are actually unfortunately not at liberty to disclose at this stage, we should draw some more people. And also, but the problem that we have as well is the fact that there's so many tournaments for the same kind of MMR ranges, and you sometimes get two on the same day. So that's also one of the reasons why I have not been running a contender, because of two other tournaments that was running the same stage with exactly the same MMR cap. So it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. I agree. I completely agree.
No, I think there just needs to be a little bit more coordination between the tournament organizers. I think everyone's now gone, hey, tournaments are great, let's all just jump on the bandwagon. I think we all need to kind of work together and back each other's tournaments up. I think it's the best way to keep the scene fresh and growing instead of fighting for players.
And also, I mean, you always get all those tournaments on the weekend. So the players like, oh no, you know what, he's actually taking part in this tournament, so he can't take part in yours. And it's a coin toss at the end of the day.
Are you happy with the field that was present this season? Do you think you could have achieved more in terms of like players showing up or who shows up? I know there's a lot of big names. Let's just mention one that probably won the most of our CSO Cups. And I managed to cast a couple of games. Cristiano. Do you think that is a good sign that there's kind of like, well, I wouldn't say monopoly, because it's not really a monopoly, because he sometimes has a couple of hiccups, but do you think that does, do you think that does good for the CSO tournaments, or does that discourage players to sign up because there's Cristiano and is gonna win anyways?
You know, that's the unfortunate part with the CSO Cup, which is an open MMR Cup. You cannot. I mean, if Beyond decides to join our tournament again, I mean, who's going to argue with that? You cannot. If you want to play in the open MMR Cup tournament, you should know that you are going to come up against all these semi-pro and pro players that you see on TV every day. So it's unfortunate. I did have some people that did not want to play because Cristiano was there, because of his play style. Cristiano, nothing against the person or a player, but it's unfortunately it happens.
Yeah, it's very
well,
aggressive.
I think overall, if you just look at the names that have attended CSO Cup, that being our premier tournament, which is the Open MMR, which is pretty much open to anyone. I think the field of players that we've had this year has been very impressive. You know, I think most of the household names have been there, besides the top level pros. So I think from a tournament point of view, we've done exceptionally well.
What was the best tournament moment? Do you have, or can you recall a really good tournament moment? Either a player joining the tournament, showing up, or maybe one of the CSO players performing really well?
I think when Björn, the first time
he played in two or three of our tournaments. It was very nice to have somebody of that level, especially a Korean player, in our tournaments. But well, my players does well, that's always a good point for me. But the best of all is when you and Jono pass a series and you get so excited about it that I have to laugh at you guys. That's my favorite moments. I mean, you guys make an awesome team, so
I'm glad to hear that. Spoiler, by the way, Mr. Linglad is also going to appear on this show. We're revealing guest after guest, so Yeah.
Well, it means we'll just have to get to you.
Yeah. Hopefully I don't end up as Torin did, interviewing myself, recording 2 separate sources.
No. I'm sure we can organize, and I can grill you with a couple of questions.
Of course. Matt?
We will get the people on Twitter and in Discord to give us questions that they would like us to ask you, and we do that.
The good old Q&A with Mauzy. Yes. Matt, do you have any StarCraft, Valorant, any kind of good, fun stories, moments?
If you want to do the fun stories thing, I think that who did that video clip with my awesome sauce? That night. Yeah, was you. I think that was a great moment.
Wallbanging's a thing, yes.
Wallbanging is a thing, and I even tagged former StarCraft 2 player Krytos.
Yep, that one.
Awesome
that was
sauce.
great. I love that. Awesome sauce. We even got Ray saying awesome sauce on a regular basis after that. Yeah, I think from that has been great. From StarCraft, it's I think when I think the first time I managed to pull off a Ling Flood against a Diamond player and just did. That was great. Just to see them go, how? How did that work? Your bronze.
Yeah, and also when you get to play against high level players. I mean, okay, I know 11. He's been around for ages. And when he turned to me and told me at the end of a game, it's like, you almost had me there. And I mean, I'm silver.
Yeah.
Also, my fun game against Harston was a great experience.
Yeah, you mentioned when you were bronze player.
3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was funny.
Well, yeah, it was great. And then what was that? When the one tournament when me and was Kerry, I think we were 2v2ing, and we had to go up against Clem and Euthermal. Yeah, the two of us got ass raped by Euthermal and Clem. That was great as well.
I was playing with Jono that 2v2 to get placement, and we played. Oh, who was the two that we played? I can't remember.
Wasn't it Aristorian Zio? Or...
I think it was Aristorian and Zomek. I think it was them, and we just, you know what, we laughed more than we played, to be quite honest.
Yeah. No, there's been some great moments.
Yeah.
All right, and as the ending, because you know all good things come to an end. But before we go, actually, do you have any future plans that you can and would like to share?
Well, I've got something in development, but I can't really say too much now. Which will probably be our next title. Other than that, it's we will have to see what 2023 holds in store for us as a team. I think it's going to be an exciting year. I think all of us are going to be working our butts off. I think it will be your first full year with us, so you can get to experience the fun and games of the backside of team management and production and tournaments and the whole 9 yards. It's pretty intense. So, but yeah, nothing that I can really say for now. But there's something in the works, but it's not solid as yet. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, play the Mauzy clip where I'll be like, oh, it's fine, and I just get away from my piece and I'm like, fuck.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I come back. Okay, what did I miss?
It was interesting. But from a StarCraft point, obviously we've got our 3 main GM players, but I have been, I think you saw as well, and a lot of the guys knows, that I have been dragging in some high masters like GM that has reached GM before. So, and also a lot of our diamond players have actually hit masters. So I'm seeing a good future, well, a good year for us, especially team leagues. I will be choosing them very selectively this year, unfortunately. I mean, you saw how much of an issue it is trying to organize team leagues. So we will be selecting them very, very carefully. But other than that, I cannot say more.
By the way, guys, organizing team leagues and team captaining, don't try those at home. Trust me. Nerves of steel, that's the first thing that has to come to mind.
I've done that for how long? All by myself.
I know.
Yeah.
No, that's why, Mauzy, we're also very grateful that you actually stepped up when I asked you to. It took a lot of stress off my back, off my shoulders. It gave me more time to focus on our bigger, I call them my big boys, obviously because they are the gems. It got me to get more involved in them and having them play to their full abilities, if I can put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Any closing thoughts? As we
watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. I think, you know, I just want to say to each and every member of CSO, we are super grateful to have all of you in your own capacities. You bring us so much joy and happiness that we, at the end of the day, we are here to do this for you guys. We're not doing it for ourselves. And as long as you guys are having fun at whatever title or game that you are playing, or even, I mean, I think you know us, Mauz, we are a family, so no matter what's happening in your life, we are proud of all of you, and just keep doing what you're doing. And we're always here, our door is always open. Yeah.
Jackie?
I can't do the hard thing.
Yeah, I'm bad at it.
I'll get my daughter to do it. Morgan, come throw a heart here on the screen, please. Throw the heart thingy-majig with your hands.
CSO Junior.
CSO Junior. Oh. Well.
There we go.
Guys.
There we go.
You saw it. CSO is love. Hashtag we are CSO. Jackie, Matt, thank you for this very first episode. Hope there was no real bumps. If there was, I saw a bit of camera delay here and there, and probably some audio hiccups here and there will happen. You gotta understand that there's at least like 150 to 250 ping delay because I'm from Europe, and yeah. Just trying to set up a stable connection is really difficult to a whole nother continent. So I think we did really well for the first episode, and hopefully we'll see you all tune in for the next ones. If there's any suggestions, I think we all would be grateful to receive them. Once again, huge thank you to both of you for showing up and just having this casual talk. Sort of like an interview or just chatting and just knowing you better. And we hope whoever was wondering who's behind the chat, the voice chat and everything else now has a better picture and gives more. You know, it's
can't hide.
They could just feel like they're more respected, because it's a huge step in my opinion to show yourselves to your players, and a huge sign of respect in my opinion. So yeah, we thank you for that as CSO.
Thank you. I think we could probably carry on talking for another 2 hours, but we can always, if people want to know more, if we want to do another interview or chat later on, always, doors are always open.
Yeah. Okay, that's going to be it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of you watching. Thank you for our wonderful guests. This was episode number 1 of the CSO show. Maybe the name changes in the future. but I hope it doesn't. I'll try to be less creative. So this was episode 1 with the founders, BloodRayne and Krytos. Thank you for watching, and we wish you the best. Cheers.